I completely stayed up till almost midnight finishing Stranger Things last night with the wife.
Oh, well, I'm only on episode 3, so
Yeah.
we can only have that much of a conversation about it. And actually, not even that. Well, I mean, to be clear, I guess I'll say this up front. There's no spoilers in the first 3 episodes of Stranger Things.
Nah, not really.
Not really. Like, nothing that wasn't revealed in the trailer was revealed. It was mostly a lot of fan service, a lot of like, hey, checking in with everyone, see how they're doing, see how they've changed, see the kind of things they've gone on. And it's nice to see them interacting with each other. That's a great thing about this show is like you care about these characters and like who they are and are interested to sort of see where they are in their lives and the things that they're doing. And yeah, it's great. A lot of great stuff. We see the kids kind of dealing with their love lives and stuff and being idiots because that's what they do. We see the girls kind of connecting with one another over their mutual hatred of boys. We see Dustin and Steve, that duo continuing on, which is great. And just like everyone, it has that stereotypical traditional Stranger Things structure where it literally is like 5 separate plot lines that are basically each of them kind of discovering the problem and then kind of closing in on it from all sides. And I'm assuming at some point they're going to meet together and, all hell breaks loose. That's what I'm assuming. But that's basically how both seasons have worked so far. And that's how this one is kind of panning out. And it's good. I think it's fun. It's more of what we want out of the show, to be honest. How do you feel about it? I mean, I guess don't get too deep into it since you have finished the show. But how do you feel about those first few episodes?
No, I agree with your assessment on the first 3 episodes. It's a really good season. Yeah, there's not much I could say after what you've said, other than it's a really good season. They do meet up eventually. The pairings, which sometimes includes more than 2 people of characters, this time
the groupings
is really groupings of characters is great. Love it. I'm just sad that I have to, that I have nothing left to watch.
Well, I purposely, I actually wanted to do 2 episodes tops yesterday, but then I was like, fuck it, let's do a third. So we did 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And this season is 8 episodes as opposed to 9 episodes, which was last season. So that's one less. So I was like, let's maybe just try to do 1 a day if we can. That way we can kind of stretch it out. Because last season we did, I think we did it like on Saturday and Sunday as well. Like we finished it over the course of 2 days. So I don't want to do that. I'm usually not much of a binger. I have a really interesting viewing habits. Like a lot of people are bingers. I feel like in this society, you binge or you fucking are I don't know, you lose, right?
I
don't
guess
know.
so.
Basically, you binge or whatever. But I like to watch things very slowly. Like growing up, I never binged things. The only time I binged things is if I was just laying down and then something was on and there was like a marathon on TV. Then
Yeah.
I guess that would be quote unquote binging it. But what I do now and what I did growing up is I would watch the first few episodes over and over again and then kind of know those ins and outs and then move on to the next batch of episodes and watch those over and over and over again over a long period of time so that I became intimately familiar with like several series and stuff. And this is mostly anime at the time. That's mostly what I watched.
I was going to say the exact same thing. The first real thing that I could binge was anime.
Yeah.
TV shows,
DVDs. Like those are the first ones I got on DVDs or
exactly.
VHS.
Renting them from a place or buying import or whatever the case have you. Anime was the very first thing I could binge because buying VHS sets of TV shows did exist. That did happen. There are VHS sets out there. My grandmother sells VHS sets of The Sopranos, first couple seasons. But DVDs, the proliferation of DVDs through the American household is really what gave us binging. Because you could buy entire seasons of a show. Maybe you had already seen it, maybe you hadn't. But that really started the idea of binging, and mine started with anime. And then you get to streaming services over the last 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Last 7-8 years.
Yeah, it's cool how things have changed so much. But yeah, I remember when I remember back in the day at like Suncoast Video, there'd be that giant VHS set of like the Frieza saga that would be like $108.
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting the remember when they switched to DVD. So I remember getting the English version. Like you can either get the Japanese or you can get the English versions. And the Japanese was like uncut or whatever. It's like, whoa, uncut.
Yeah,
Okay,
but I hate
cool.
my
But
Dragon Ball subtitled. I can't stand the voices.
yeah, the voices are not American at all. You have Goku with this really high pitched lady's voice and stuff. And it's really weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're not used to it, it's a bit odd. But where was I going with that? Oh yeah, when they switched it to DVD at the time, not knowing much about DVD technology, my mind was blown. It's like, wait, you have English and Japanese? I'm really confused. How the hell did that happen? And yeah,
technology. I was the first person to have a DVD player in my house thanks to the PS2. That was like my only gift I got for Christmas or my birthday. I don't remember which one. They're real close. My birthday's in January, so. But I was like, I want one thing and one thing only. I want a PS2. So that's what I ended up getting. So I was the first person in the house with DVDs. Everybody else.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else still had a VHS in their house or in their rooms, and I started, using my allowance money and stuff to rent DVDs, buy cheap DVDs out of a bin, and when I could get extra money from my parents, ask for like the latest movie that I had just seen on DVD coming out, and that was my beginning love affair with extras.
Oh yeah, like extras were the best. My beginning love affair of extras was back in the VHS Star Wars. They had those Leonard Maltin and George Lucas interviews at the front end of them. Do you remember those at all?
Yes, with that was the one with the VHSs were like in black covers. And
the faces.
With the
half the faces.
Yep, and each title had a different color.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember those.
Yeah, so the Leonard Maltin, they had these like 5 to 10-minute interviews. I don't remember because I was a kid and I had no conception of time back then.
Yeah.
But I remember the interviews. I don't know. I'm surprised I was interested in watching these fuckers just talk. Like back when I was, I don't know, I couldn't have been older than 5 or 6. Probably younger than that even. And just like watching those. And then when the special edition versions came out and they had those things at the front of them. Yeah, those were fantastic as well. And then basically when I found out like, oh, DVD has those for all of the movies, I'm like, what?
Yep.
No.
Let me start
That's
rebuying
amazing.
everything that my parents had recorded recorded off of HBO. Let me go find Predator and Alien and Ghostbusters and like everything just to watch extras. And I used to rent movies because I just a kid.
Well, everyone used to rent movies.
Yeah, my parents weren't, fucking filthy rich or something, so I'd have to rent a lot of what I wanted to watch, and that I would spend more time watching extras than I would watching the movie. My dad used to think it was weird.
That's one thing. Oh, my parents didn't get it either. My wife still doesn't get it. She hates special features, so I have to like. I don't understand. I still don't understand how I'm married to her.
I lucked out. Christine likes special features too because she'll be like, "Huh, that's really fucking interesting."
Yeah, my wife does not like them. She's like, they're boring. I'm like, ugh. I'm like, well, go whatever. Go ahead, go somewhere else. Go watch Veronica Mars or something. I'm gonna watch these special features. But anyway, like, what was I going with that? I lose my train of thought a lot. That's a thing. But what were we talking about? Special features,
drugs,
right?
Man. Gotta stop doing drugs.
Special features. Well, shit.
Watching them
you
more
lost me.
than the movie itself.
Oh yeah, you know what's unfortunate? I almost feel like for a while they kind of went away before in sort of the between DVD and Blu-ray thing. DVD started having them less, and Blu-ray had them.
Yeah.
And then for a while, iTunes or digital stuff didn't have them, and now they finally have them back.
Yeah.
But what we are losing, because you mentioned renting them and watching all the special features. Nowadays, if you rent on Redbox or something, they have these stripped down versions that usually only have the movie and nothing else included.
Yeah,
which sucks.
I've never rented from a Redbox.
Yeah,
not personally.
They're super fucking cheap. They're ridiculously cheap. Because if you don't want to I don't know, if you don't want to rent it on iTunes, iTunes can be expensive. It's like $5.99 or something, or $4.99, depending on the movie, as opposed to Redbox, which is a couple of dollars. It's obviously a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I I'm disappointed in some movies, though. You got a lot of movies that should have some amazing extras. Just the
Yep.
type of movie that it is. Take, I don't know, Avengers Endgame, for example. A few weeks ago, they announced the extras, and it's less than an hour. It's like
Yeah, what the fuck
40
is that
some odd
about?
minutes of extras. That's it. And the longest extra is like 11 minutes and change. And I think it's the feature on Captain America.
Is there no commentary?
I think there might be a commentary. And
Because if there's a commentary, I'm usually okay.
commentaries
As long as there's a commentary, I'm good.
commentaries are okay, and I do enjoy watching commentaries. I really enjoy when there's like a couple of commentary tracks, like one with the directors and maybe the writer, and then one with some cast members.
Yeah, I usually don't listen to the cast member
Let's see,
once. I must admit.
Blu-ray. But I really expected some more feature length like extras. I expected some documentaries on the making of Infinity War and Endgame because they were recorded back to back. I expected something big on the MCU as a whole, considering this was kind of like the end of the end of the Infinity Saga. Even though Feige said Spider-Man: Far From Home is, I'm not going to mention anything about that. Anyways, but there's nothing. There's really nothing on there, and it's so sad. Because I was really looking forward. Like I wanted to see everybody's wrap. That's what, like when they're wrapping up principal photography for that character. I wanted to see all
Everybody
of the
like that's
six.
a wrap situation.
Yeah, I wanted to see the original 6 Avengers their wrap on filming, and because you've seen that a couple. I think Chris Evans' video showed him saying some words. Robert Downey Jr. showed him saying some words, and stuff like that is really fucking interesting. We've been on this journey with these fuckers for 11 years. We deserve more than what is it? There's a gag reel like a minute and change.
Ugh.
6 deleted scenes, which added up to like 3 minutes. Yes, there is audio commentary by both Russos and both writers.
Okay, there we go. I'm happy.
There's one on Thor, the Women of the MCU, the Russo brothers' journey to Endgame, but it's only like 4 minutes. Black Widow, whatever it takes. A Man at a Time, Captain America, that's the longest one. Setting the Tone, which is Robert Downey Jr.'s. That one's like 3 minutes, and then a couple minutes spent remembering Stan Lee. And they all total together less than an hour. So I was disappointed by that when it was announced. Maybe
It is disappointing.
Yeah. Maybe they'll have like a special
Little something.
edition 6 months later to try to sell more Blu-rays. But I'll tell you what, if you do give me like 2 hours of specials, I'll buy it.
Yeah,
I'll buy it. So,
for sure. Like I would probably buy it as well. Like as annoying as that is.
well, I totally forgot to do the intro. We're 13 minutes in, so whatever. Good.
It's okay. We have a long cold open. Go ahead, and just do it. Just fucking do
Good
it.
morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to LR Mornings with Kyle and Jammer. I'm Kyle.
I'm Jammer.
And it's fucking Friday, and we spent 13 minutes fucking talking for a cold open. Yay! It was great.
Did we talk about Good Omens?
No, we have not talked about Good Omens.
Not the reason is not to change the subject wholly, but the reason is to talk about in the 3rd episode they have like a 30-minute cold open.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, it's funny because we're like deep into the episode doing stuff, and then like after 20, I think it's like 28 minutes or something, or 27 minutes or 28 minutes, and then all of a sudden it kind of has the transitional music between like the scene and then the opening, and then it goes into the opening, and I'm like, oh, I forgot that we didn't get the opening theme. Wow, that's a really long cold open. That's crazy, but like structurally based on the events that were happening in the cold open, it
kinda
completely
had to
makes
be that
sense.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense that was the cold open, but it was just surprising and odd. So that's basically what you got here on this the July 5th episode of the Year of Our Lord 2019. That episode.
Yeah.
That's what you got.
I hope everybody had a happy Independence Day that celebrates that in the United States. I know we got listeners abroad, which is great. We appreciate you. Happy whatever work day you had. So
Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday.
I saw somebody tweeted hey, England, how are you enjoying work today?
Hey, there are plenty of Americans working. I went to a restaurant and there were people
Yes.
working there.
Yes, there was. But it's still like a funny joke. I laughed. It made me laugh.
Is it? Is it
Yes.
though? I feel it's mean. It's just
No.
like these people are just working and they're getting insulted for working. Come on, that's a dick move.
I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, I hope you guys all had a safe time, enjoyed your fireworks, and stayed safe. Didn't blow any limbs off.
Did you hear about the amazing fireworks in LA? I mean, sorry, earthquake.
Yes, I did hear about the earthquake in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6.4 earthquake.
Well,
I
the
heard it was a kind of
epicenter
a
was like
rolling one.
6.4. It was between Bakersfield and Vegas. But
Mhm.
LA had tremors in like the fours. I think that even maybe like outside of LA, some fives. So still pretty strong.
That reminds me of some of the earthquakes that I had back when I lived there. I remember when I was living in Orange, where I was working because I was going to school back then. I was working on something in sort of a back room of the house that I was renting, and just kind of chilling there. And then all of a sudden, it just felt like I was on a boat. Like it was sort of just like soft and swaying,
Yeah.
and I was just like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like I knew it was an earthquake, but it was usually earthquakes that they're a bit more, I don't know, jerky. And that one, it was just like smooth.
Yeah, that was
and
like the rolling one.
swaying,
Yeah.
and I was like, this. It was more confusing than anything else because I was like, okay, what's going on here? Is it just me? Am I just having massive vertigo?
We had a couple earthquakes when we lived. My dad was stationed at Fort Ord, which is in Monterey Bay. I think the city right outside is Seaside, California. So like 20 minutes north of Monterey itself or some shit. Anyways, we had a couple earthquakes there. One of them, our refrigerator walked into the living room. Like that's how much it was
That's
shaking.
awesome.
And then another one was real light, and me and a buddy were playing Sega in my room, and we didn't notice the earthquake because we were like jumping around and shit, like stupid 7 or 8 year olds do while playing video games. And somebody came in, I think mom or dad came in, and like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, why? It's just had an earthquake." "Oh, whatever." Went back to playing video games.
I was always disappointed growing up whenever I found out there was an earthquake and I didn't feel it. I'm like, really? Come on! I wanted to feel an earthquake.
So funny fucking story. When I lived in Arizona, with my wife, we're newlyweds. We have an apartment. We had this heavier guy that lived upstairs, and he constantly pounding. Like, first floors have their benefits because you don't have to move a lot, a lot of shit upstairs. But you always not always, but often you'll run into a upstairs neighbor that just is heavy footed, pounds around, makes noise, and has an odd schedule. And that's what our neighbor had. And one day, we thought it was the neighbor, the upstairs guy, like jumping up and down or something. Like it was incredibly loud, shook the entire apartment. I was playing video games. My wife was chilling on the bed watching, and we had a roommate that was out in the living room. And nobody thought anything of it, and then watched the news later on, and it's like, yeah, earthquakes hit Yuma, Arizona, and just like thought it was the guy upstairs. And that was Christine and Larry's very first earthquake, so they didn't even realize it was an earthquake.
That reminds me. So I was back when I was working at the school that I was attending. I used to work at media services, and we were I'm trying to think of how to explain where we were in this big brick building, in sort of like the way back in like this little corner office. Then you head into like an office, and there's like a main desk there, and then you go off to the right, and there's all of the media equipment that we have, and a bunch of computers scattered about that we used and that the other people used. And so we had the sort of the main staff was made up of employees, and then like the under tier grunts, so to speak, were the students that worked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what I was. So at the time there was, let me think here, there was like 2 or 3 of like the main staff, and then like 2 or 3 students. And one of the new main staff guys just came from Connecticut. And so he was completely unused to the idea of earthquakes as a thing. Anyway, so we were just talking. We are probably talking about movies or something. And then all of a sudden it started to shake. And one of my guys is like, "Oh, that's an earthquake." And then all of us in California were like, "Okay." So we all get under the tables and stuff. And then the Connecticut guy fucking booked it out of the room. He just ran, and then he like stepped on the foot of one of the other student workers, one of my friends, and the guy's like, "Oh my god, ow!" Because he hurt his foot, and he just ran out. It was really funny, and then like he came back later, and we're just like, "What the fuck, dude? What was that about? You just run out? That's like stupid, because that's like the last thing you want to do is run out in the middle of an earthquake and run out on the outside of a building and stuff." And he was just like, I was just not going to get, I was not going to die. I wasn't going to die in the fucking back office of a brick building from a stupid earthquake. He's like, I was not going to go out like that. It was so funny. He clearly was not used to earthquakes at all, but that was pretty funny. It reminded me of that episode of The Office. Did you ever watch The Office?
No, never got into it. Yeah,
there
everybody
was this one episode when there was like this fire drill, or the fire alarm was going off, and people weren't sure if it was a drill or real. And as they were just debating whether or not it was real or a drill, Michael Scott, you see him just running out. It was basically like that. Okay, that's all I have. Because if you haven't seen it, it's not interesting. It's just interesting is the word you use when you're just like, I don't understand, but
I don't understand.
But I acknowledge that's what happened.
Well, it's really hard to segue to this, but I did want to mention something because back when we were talking about Stranger Things, Netflix has a business model, and their business model is not really the smartest business model there is. Everybody has Netflix. Everybody loves Netflix. They've got 60 some odd million, 80 some odd million subscribers here in the United States, which is a pretty big fucking number. It's the largest number of streaming subscribers in the United States, and they also have the largest number worldwide by far. But still, the way they do licensing versus owning content, and the way that they do their agreements for merchandise really doesn't make them a lot of money. The overwhelming majority of their money still comes from subscribers. So they've had negative cash flow for years. Basically, that means that they spend more money than they make. They're having to cut. They're having to cut spending. Stefan White recently wrote an article for the website on this exactly. But what does that mean for Netflix? Does that mean they stop buying things? They stop licensing things from other studios. I know a lot of studios are taking their stuff and going home.
It's less on original. It's less on original content.
That's what I was going to bring up. I was kind of doing both parts, and then I was going to say, so way to go.
Yeah, it's less on original content. Yes. Well, I mean, the thing is, one thing you can't overstate is how much money they have been spending on original content over the past few years. Like, they've been spending records amounts.
Yes.
Like, I forget how much. I can forget the figure.
$12 billion last year.
Over the course of
I think if I'm not mistaken, there was almost $12 billion spent last year by Netflix, and how that was broken down into originals and licensing I didn't see, but yeah.
Let's see here. Let me type in Netflix original content spending 2018. 12 billion on content, as you mentioned there. Let's see here. Streamer last year 35% from 8.9 billion. Let's see if I type original. After paying $15 billion, blah blah blah. I want to say it was like 8 million or 8 billion or so.
Yeah, it's like quite a bit.
I remember we reported it's a lot, but it had always been a lot. I remember people were saying they were idiots at the time for basically going in debt in order to do that. For the past few years, they've been doing that because they saw before anyone else saw. That's why they started doing their original content to begin with House of Cards. They knew, hey, in a few years, everyone's going to realize that they can all have their own streaming service, and that's why we have to prepare for it.
Right.
So,
but here's the interesting thing: they still licensed House of Cards. They still licensed it. It's a Netflix original in that it airs on Netflix first. The very first show that Netflix owned outright was Wet Hot America Summer, day one or whatever. I was reading up on this last night. I just happened across I read business news. I'm a nerd. with a business degree, so I read business news, and I stumbled across it because, dude, it's unsustainable. This business model that Netflix has is 100% unsustainable. They brought in
Well, the thing is, it's unsustainable if they continue in the
Yes.
path that they're going. The
Exactly.
plan is for them not to continue the path. The plan is that by the time all the licensed material jumps ship, that they have enough original content to where they can continue a more reasonable,
Yes.
sustainable. Basically, this past few years have been triage mode of them just throwing money at the wall and getting as much content out there so that by the time they're not left out in the cold. So yes, as 2018 was, as 2017 and 16 and 15 and 14, yes, that's all unsustainable. But the plan wasn't from day one. They've mentioned this many times. The plan isn't to continue that in perpetuity, to continually go in debt. The plan is to get enough content so that people actually stay subscribed when everyone leaves.
Right. And that's going to be, I mean, cutting spending, of course, is what they're going to end up having because they're not going to be worried about the licensing of other studio stuff because they're taking their stuff and going home anyways. But additionally, I was talking about how they still license even their originals. They need to get more ownership and start using those merchandising rights. Otherwise, we're going to see prices continue to go up because the competition is going to get stiffer, especially with Disney Plus.
We've said this before on the Los Fanboys podcast a year and a half ago, 2 years ago at this point, maybe, that they need to learn to capitalize more on their brands. And literally right now, the only brand they have is like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
That's kind of the only one. Like the only one where it's like, yeah, they have a lot of originals, but they're not capitalizing on them enough. They're not going the merchandising route and doing this stuff and that stuff. They haven't had that cultural zeitgeist juggernaut yet. I think they were hoping Bright was going to be that, and as well as that movie performed, it didn't do that well enough to, I think, do that.
Yeah, that's not a t-shirt and coffee mug type movie.
Right, or a pop figure type movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, they need to find more of those. Obviously, that's easier said than done, but yeah, I mean, I think they'll be fine. Like, I don't know about you personally. I think I will lose every other streaming service before I lose Netflix. Like, Netflix is that one that's basically like a utility for me. I'm having that at all costs.
But
that's just a thing.
Is it because of the original content, or is it because of licensed original stuff? Huh?
No, it's because of the original stuff, without a doubt.
I know.
Like, I don't care about the licensed stuff, to be honest.
I know Disney.
I don't watch a lot of the licensed stuff. Most of the stuff that I watch is like on Hulu for that.
I know Disney's going to give them a run for their money. I really do. I know that for a fact because of the Marvel stuff. Look, I know most people say, well, I own everything I want from Disney. You think you own everything you want from Disney until you have a kid. Like, adults might not have a collection of... Adults that have just had kids or have younger kids might not have all of the Disney stuff on DVD or Blu-ray. You're definitely going to want Disney for some of the shows. I mean, their original shows, the Marvel shows, the Star Wars shows, even some of the original cartoons that are going to end up there. We're going to have, like the Howard the Duck cartoon and shit. That's supposed to be going there, right? If I'm not mistaken, the MODOK cartoon.
No, I don't think
They're
so.
not going there?
To Hulu.
They're going to Hulu? Okay, well, there's still going to be a lot of original stuff on Disney. I think they're going to give Netflix a huge run for their money.
I don't think so. I think that's more that's them versus them mentality that I don't necessarily think Netflix and Disney have with each other. I feel like those are more complementary services than almost any other services out there.
Well, at least Disney's cheap, but I can see people saying, well, I'm done with Netflix because what I watched was all of this or that, and now most of it's gone, and Disney has more for me now.
That.
So not necessarily that
I don't
Disney
think
is
that
competing with them directly, but
I don't think they're going to go like, man, The Office is no longer there. I'm going to Disney instead. Disney doesn't have The Office. Disney doesn't have the shows that they lost.
No, they don't.
So I don't necessarily think there's I don't think that's necessarily a good comparison. I think they would go maybe with Warner Media, if anything else, whenever that streaming service comes out.
Do you really think NBC Universal and Warner Media's how does Warner? Because CBS tried it and they're not doing very hot. and Warner Brothers' DC universe didn't do too hot.
Actually, we don't know how CBS is doing. They haven't given any numbers or indication.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
And they keep renewing their shows and adding more shows to the slate. So honestly, there's been very little indication as to whether or not they've been doing good or bad.
They own everything, so that's a little different than what Netflix was doing, but will be similar to NBC Universal and Warner Media. I don't know. I
notice a pattern here. It's like you come to a conclusion, and I'm like, well, wait a second.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things we just don't know yet, and I think that's always been my MO, where it's like I'm always, a lot of people tend to go like, oh, the sky is falling. I'm like, well, let's take a look. What's holding up the sky first, and let's see whether or not those things have actually gone crumbling yet. Like, they might be, for all we know, but I think it's too early at this stage to say one thing is gonna beat another thing. You know, we really don't know how this whole thing's gonna shake out.
It's conversational. God damn.
I know, but you're saying you think it'll give a run for the money, and you're making really bold assumptions here.
I think not, and I go, huh? Okay, that's cool. You think not?
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, streaming services, it's going to be an interesting time. I really do wonder what people are willing to spend their money on and what type of models these streaming services will use. Like I was saying, the DC Universe does the rotating catalog. Disney's already come out and said they're not going to do a rotating catalog. All their stuff's going to be available when it becomes available. And so I wonder if Warner Brothers is going to do that, rotate their entire Warner Media catalog or not. It's going to be an interesting time. I wonder
it's gonna suck for consumers.
Yeah, because it's like a bunch of little monopolies.
Yeah, no, it's basically the equivalent of it's back to the cable package days, you know, where it's like yeah, we can get more specifically what we want, but now there's so much that we may as well just fucking get cable again.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if cable will start offering things more a la carte or change up the packages. Cable and satellite will change up the packages that they do have in order to be more appealing, because there's, for us, the package we had to get for the channels that we want is stupid fucking expensive, and we only needed it for like 3 channels, so we're paying for all these we're subsidizing everybody else's viewing habits because we want to watch like 3 or 4 channels. So I've always thought a la carte would be the way to go, but there would be a lot of channels that would suffer because they depend on people like me and my wife to subsidize their smaller viewership through the price that we pay for cable or satellite. So if you go a la carte, you'll actually have a lot of channels that will shut down because they would not have enough viewers. They've got viewers, but they don't have enough to sustain by themselves. So, and
let us know.
Streaming's going to be interesting on that.
Let us know in the comments if you think that if you will be getting both Netflix and Disney, or if you'll just be getting one or the other. Is it really going to be one or the other for you, or just both? Because like I said, personally for me, I'm getting if the world ends, well, that's not a thing. If basically you had to choose 2 streaming services, it would be Netflix and Disney Plus, and if it was one streaming service, it would be Netflix. So that's me personally. But what about you guys? Let us know in the comments what your streaming diets would be like once this new world we live in changes for the streaming.
I wonder if anybody, this will be my last comment, I wonder if anybody will do like what VRV does and offer multiple streaming services for one subscription price. I wonder if there'll be any deals made between companies to do something like that.
They already have stuff like that kind of going on with the Amazon Prime and Hulu and Showtime and stuff. They already have stuff like that.
Yeah, where you can add on like some of those premium cable channels, streaming services
for like a reduced price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a Friday. That means you will not hear from us again until Monday. But guess what? LRMonline.com does not stop working through the weekend. So make sure you come by and get all of your latest news 7 days a week. I'll be guiding the ship this weekend. So look forward to that. Make sure you guys are checking out the YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff there. LR Mornings hits. Lots of celebrity interviews, and there are some new video series coming out soon. I promise they're going to be great. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make sure you are subscribed to the LRM Online Podcast Network, wherever you get podcasts from. We are everywhere. I'm not even going to name them all. We're literally everywhere. Everywhere. Find us. Google it. We're there.
Yes.
And make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Leave some comments below. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want, because we work for you. We work for the readers and the listeners. I sort of work for Jammer, but he works for you, so I work for you too. Jammer, where can people find you at online?
You can find me online at Jam the Writer, and all of my writing for film and TV at LRMonline.com.
And you guys can find me all over the websites and at that Kyle Malone on Twitter. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you Monday.
See you Monday.